What's going on, family?
The Archer and Pine Podcast, featuring stories about Black artisans, designers, and creators.
It is me, Marc Clarke, and welcome to On the Mark. This episode is actually live on Facebook. And so this morning on Mornings with Mikkel, I was in today and we were having a good time cutting up live on campus. And before we went downstairs, we actually broadcast from the studios, but then we moved downstairs into the the student lounge area at Morgan State University, and we before we did that, I did a live stream on Facebook, and we were having fun. It's a 6 o'clock hour, and what's up, Kim? I see Kim joining in. Okay, I see some of my crew joining in. We're doing the live broadcast, and somebody, Angelita, said, "Mark, you seem so happy." And I realized, I really am happy. And I'm happy most of the time. In fact, my wife says I have no high highs and no low lows. I disagree with that. I think I have high highs. What's up, Kim? And so it was interesting because I just thought in that moment, I am happy. I am definitely somebody who I do love communicating. I'm a radio dude. I've been in radio for like 30 years, and I love mornings. And so it doesn't matter if I'm the leader of the show or just contributing on the show. I guess I did realize that I am happy, and I'm happy doing that. I'm happy communicating with you, the public. I'm happy sharing information, sharing experiences. I love to listen to your experiences and listen to other people's experiences. And it's like, I guess it's not just radio, but just communicating on that level is my thing. And that does make me happy. And when I talk to young people, I always say pursue your dreams, because a part of that is that I pursued my dream. It's something that I enjoyed as a young man, and I wanted to go into radio, and I'm doing it. And, so that does make me happy. A lot of times I think we are either afraid to pursue our dreams or distracted, or we get off path. And I always encourage everybody, no matter how old you are, you have to pursue your dreams. And in doing that, I think you can find happiness. So I am happy. Now, this does not mean, there are not challenges. Paul Porter, what's up, Paul? Paul said, "Why do you have headphones on?" Well, I'm actually doing the podcast on Spreaker. I'm recording it on Spreaker, and so that's why I threw my headphones on, because I wanted to hear what the mic sounds like, and I was going to experiment with possibly having somebody call on Skype. But that's why, Paul. Look at them. Look at my radio crew. What are you doing with headphones on? So that's why I have my headphones on. So this will be a podcast, and I'll post it up also. But the happiness piece, that's what I was thinking about, because this week I did this post on Facebook, and I said basically I'm claiming victory. And I posted that because, as many of you know, I walked away from my job in New York and I came home for family reasons. And you know how that works. You cannot lose when you come home for family. Now, that doesn't mean your bill stopped. So this being the last day of November, and having these expenses, I wanted to, on one hand, you can worry about, it's 30 days. There'll be some bills that are going to be 30 days past due, and that can be a worry. Now that I'm paying attention. In the past, I didn't even pay attention. So now it's the last day. So I was claiming victory because I knew the check was coming today. I was going to open up my mailbox, and I had no doubt that the check would be in the mail because I'm claiming victory. Well, guess what? I went to the office at Morgan State, and no, it will not be in the mail. In fact, it will not be in the mail until next week. In fact, they had some information that it might have been intercepted by the state. So I may not get any check from Morgan State, and I may not get a check from a contract I have with the state because of a tax issue. So I may both of the places that I'm working, I may receive no payment for my services, but I will not be denied. I'm going to claim victory anyway, because things will work themselves out. I'm taking the high road. And so sure enough, today, when I came home, I was talking to the nurse who took care of my dad, because I hire a nurse when I have to leave the house and do other things. I have to hire a nurse. So I was just talking with him, and I was saying, because I've been blessed enough to have to be the caregiver for my father-in-law, and I was with my mother-in-law and for my mother at times. I said, hey man, I feel like there's I'm thinking about possibly going to school or doing something with this, because I know a lot of people can't handle the challenge, and actually I like it. I mean, I like helping people, and in fact, my father-in-law he does have the bag, and so that can be challenging. I know a lot of people can't deal with that, and I found that I can deal with it. And he said in that conversation, because we're claiming victory, he said, hey man, he basically not only agreed that it would be a good move for me, but he said, hey, I got a plan that could help, because of your brand and your communication skills, my company does need that. So at the end of the day, that's a slight victory. That's something that's going to grow. I'm proud. I'm excited about it. And it just speaks to opportunities presenting themselves if you just keep your positive hat on. Not denial, but you keep your hat on. You know what I'm saying? You can look at things one or two ways. And, what's up, Charmel? You can look at things a couple different ways. And what's up, Danny? I choose to look at things in a positive way, and I will not be denied. Just like Larry Lancaster was hanging out, comedian Larry Lancaster, for years. We've been friends, and we always get put together. We have great chemistry. I know there's something there with Larry. I have all these people that I know across the country. I know there's something there. So again, I'm claiming victory. And so today's message was about happiness. And now the second part is resilience. I wanted to talk about how resilient we are as human beings. My kids, my two oldest, had a situation at their high school, a tragic situation a couple days ago, where a classmate committed suicide. She was struggling with mental issues. She was struggling with alcoholism. So she jumped off a bridge in Bethesda, and jumped off the bridge and got hit by a car. And so you can imagine the trauma, the trauma that caused the kids, and not only my kids, but the kids at the school. It's always so unsettling when we lose a young person. And it's so unsettling when someone commits suicide, because, it's almost like, it's like giving up. And, that person feels like there are no answers. And so today, again, I wanted to talk about resilience from a standpoint of looking at my father-in-law, and this, he has the colostomy bag. And so I joined this group on Facebook with people who have colostomy bags. Shout out to the group. I see they're on my timeline, and it's really a very helpful group, because it really gives insight into people who have to live with the challenge of, dealing with a colostomy bag and dealing with all that comes with it. And if those who don't know what that is, a colostomy bag, if you have issues with your bowel, some people, they have a bag that kind of rerouted to this bag that they have to take care of. And you can imagine that can be very messy. Things can happen, and things do happen, as I found out with my father-in-law, but also with this group. And you have to, for some people, it's a lot, man. It's some people, it's too much. A lot of times, family members and other people can't handle the care. And a lot of times the people who have the challenge, they can't handle the care either. When I say can't, it's not enjoyable. But it just was a reminder. I see it with my father when there are moments when the bag, because of whatever reason, comes off, and it's you have a mess. And sometimes it just happens. You can't control it. I see it with my father. I see it with these people on the group who are young and active. And what you just realize is, man, people are so resilient. whatever it is, you can get through it. You know what I mean? Like, I always think of the bit that Richard Pryor said, and it's one of my favorites because I think it just speaks of life. When Richard burned himself up, and Jim Brown comes to the hospital, and he said, "What you gonna do, Rich?" And isn't that life? What you gonna do? I mean, no matter what it is, if it's a colostomy bag, if it's cancer, if it's the death of your parents, if it's the death of your child, if it's a bad diagnosis, what you gonna do? You gonna choose to live, or you're gonna give up? That's what our life really comes down to. And I mean, it sounds simple, but obviously it's complex. But it's as complex as we make it. Now, because people survive horrendous situations because they decide to live. And I said in the title of the post that we're spiritual beings going through a human existence. I'm going to tell you something that I believe that kind of changes the game, and actually probably is what do I say? It probably, I don't know, may make you look at me differently, but what if I told you that I don't believe in death, that I believe only in life, and that we have many lifetimes, and we every time we're here we learn a lesson. And so when I see a tragedy or see a tragic situation, there's a part of me that is assured, and I'm not as sad as most, because I believe that there's no death. Okay, so that probably changes things, as you can imagine. If there was no death, how would you live your life differently? Would you live it differently? Interesting question. So, and then finally today, hope I'm not weirding you out. Finally today, I was excited today. I said it all started when Angelita said, "Mark, you look happy this morning when we were doing this stream," and I am happy. But what happened was I was in the car and I had this thought. I was like, so I'm 51 years old, and I just had this thought of, I'm doing this diet, and I've done many diets before. And, when you're on your health regimen and you're kind of like clicking, you really start thinking about living long and health and living fit. And so I just had the thought, I see myself living to at least 80. And Allison and I, we talked about it. But I was like, you know what? I'm getting in 80, and it's going to be a healthy, vibrant, energetic 80. For those who know Miss Ernie's story in Baltimore, Miss Ernie, who's a fitness queen, she's now in her 80s, but I met Miss Ernie when she was just getting into her 70s. She's a bodybuilder. She's a trainer. She runs 10 miles a day. She works out every day. And I was just thinking, man, what an inspiration. But it hit me. I'm going to be a strong, exciting, invigorated 80 plus with my wife. And, I'm going to see my grandkids, and I'm going to, just really live this life. I just had that thought. And maybe that's why I seem so off the chain this morning and excited, because it just hit me. And again, one of the things that I won't do is I'm not going to be, when faced with challenges, when it looks like things look a certain way, I'm not falling into that trap. I'm just not going to do it. And it's really just it's a consciousness that we have to adapt, I think it's adopt, when those kind of negative thoughts seep in. And then lastly, I thought about this. A shout out to my friend Ghost, because Ghost, who we used to work together in D.C. and New York, man, we used to have, I love that brother. We used to just chop it up and have this different philosophy about life. So the other day I'm listening to some gospel, and I got caught up. You listen to a song and then you get caught up, and next thing you know, you got tears and you're emotional and you're just thanking God. I just thought about, in the songs, there's a heavy, the devil's presence was big in the song, and I was just thinking how I don't believe in the devil. I mean, I believe the devil is really just negative thoughts, but it's interesting how spooky the devil personified is. Like, if you think, and I know a lot of people do. What's up, Jermaine? A lot of people do think of the devil. And I was just thinking, that's a scary thought, like a something that is like a physical devil. I was like, that's a lot. And I don't think of the devil. I think of the devil, for me, is just a negative thought, allowing fear to creep in your mind, and then fear creates doubt, and then you're now in this cycle. And so, and I'm not talking about looking at life in an unrealistic way, but what is reality? You know, I learned that the hard way, I think, with my experience in radio, which I'm still in. You know, when I was at 92Q, Big Fat Morning Show, you know, that was when you started seeing the changes in radio and started seeing the changes in media. And I started kind of adopting this message. I would call it reality, embracing for, hey, radio's dying. And, you know, I was saying, oh, radio's dying, media's dying, newspapers closing, radio's dying. And sure enough, I got fired. And when I was looking at when I really thought about the trajectory of my career, first of all, I, you know, working in radio, a field, entertainment, where nothing's solid, right? My whole career in radio, every year, I got increases by leaps and bounds. You know what I mean? Like I worked in Huntsville, then I worked in Charleston, then I worked in St. Louis. And all the process, I got leaps and bounds every year, opportunity, pay increase, and I never worried about it. I never was afraid. I was myself. I was never afraid of the job. I never looked at the contract, my contract's ending. I never worried about bosses. That just was not in my mind. And consequently, I had all this success. And so if I'm honest, when I get to Baltimore, what changed? I'm now a family man. So now I have a wife and kids. And I think when you have a wife and kids, you have real responsibility. You can allow things to creep in because you ask yourself, well, what would happen if I lost this? And I think that was the first time in my life I had let worry or let reality creep in, because up to that point, if I got fired in Charleston, I go to the next city. You know what I mean? I was like, I just go wherever I'm needed. But here, I was like, well, what would happen? And so sure enough, it happens. And then for 6 years, I was off the radio full time. 6 years, you know? And the crazy part was, get back on, me and Troy at WHUR, and I wasn't even feeling it, to be honest, the first time. Because I was like, you know, I'm a morning guy. I never saw myself as a dude who would just be playing records. But I slowly started getting back into it and got back into radio. And then the New York opportunity presented itself. So I just recently, like I said, I resigned to come home to family, which ain't no losses there. And so now I think that was probably one of my lessons, that don't let, quote unquote, reality put you in a negative mindset. I didn't even know I was in a negative mindset. But if I'm saying radio's dying, guess what happened? Radio died. So this time when I got home, when I resigned from my job, in a matter of weeks, I'm back on the radio. You know, I'm back on the radio. Now, am I making the money that I made in any situation in the last 10 years? No. But I'm happy and I'm doing what I love. And we know what happens when you have that combination. And there's a whole bunch of opportunities on the horizon. So again, thank you. Thank you for your time. If any questions, let's see. I see Danny. I see Charmel. What's up, Charmel? I'm definitely going to read your book, Charmel. I'll definitely read your book. I just wanted to get on and share that with you, and also test out the system. So, like I said, this is a podcast, but I'm also streaming on Facebook. Yeah, we're making it happen. Thank you, Scott. Scott Harris. Your smoked turkey was world class, my brother. And that's all I had for Thanksgiving. So you will always be remembered. And don't forget, Scott, Christmas. Oh, this diet, I'll be over. And it'll be time for the brisket. It'll be time for the brisket. And yes, happiness is the key, my brother. All right, have a good one, y'all. I'll see you soon. I'll see you on the radio. Peace.
Archer and Pine, circulating the black dollar since 1921. Go to archerpine.com now.